Hi Ajit Kumar,
Yeah, hi.
how are you?
Yeah, I am good.
Thanks Ajit. Can you start now?
Yeah,
Tell me about yourself.
my name is Ajit Kumar. I am from Bihar. I have completed my graduation from RGP University, Bhopal, and then after I joined a Techno Identity, and I have worked on 1 years, and I learned a Springboard microservices with Angular also. And then after I joined a Overlays, and in Overlays I am doing work as a software engineer. And as of now, I have a 2 years experience, and I'm working in backend side. Yeah, that's all about me. Thank you.
Okay. Explain the difference between abstract class and interface.
A Vestack class and interface, like both are the same only, but the only difference is like if you go with the Vestack class, you can able to write a both method, which is concrete method, and a Vestack method also, and you can partially achieve the polymorphisms, abstractions. But if you go with the interface, in the interface, you can create only a abstract class. You can't create any concrete methods. But Java 1.8 onwards, we can write a default and a static method. So those are the benefits we have with the go with the interface and abstract class. But normal difference, like it's your choice, like in our project, what is the requirement, and we later we have to implement the multiple interfaces. Then we can go with the interface. Otherwise, if you know like only one abstract class is enough, then you can go with the abstract class and you can implement your logic.
Okay. What is the signification of the static keyword in Java?
A static keyword, the significance of the static keyword, like we can use this static as a class level, variable level, method labels, some like while using this we can achieve like globally we can treat those classes or variables method also. Without creating an object, we can access those variables and methods. So those are the benefits we have. And also based if you focus on the memory area, so based on the memory, like if you create any variables as a static, it's only create only one times. It will not create, so based on the object how much you created for that class. So it's a single copy of the static variables happen even if you create multiple object for that class. So this is we can treat for all the object as a global.
Okay. Describe the difference between hash map and hash table.
Hash map and hash tables. So hash map, like we are so if you talk about the hash table, so hash table is old one, and it's came like Java 5, no, Java 1.2 something versions, but it's a legacy classes. And if I talk about hash table, so the hash table is synchronized. So at the same time, only one thread can able to access the hash table. But if you go with the hash map, at the same time, multiple threads are able to access those details. So those are the difference we have, hash table and hash map. One is synchronized, one is not synchronized.
Okay. What is the purpose of final? Okay. What is the purpose of final keyword in Java?
Final keyword we are using to make our particular variable as a final. So we can't initialize again once you initialize the variables. So those are the finals we are using. And if you use on the method, so If you use final as a method, then those methods we can't override in the subclasses. And also, like if you make any class as a finals, then you are not able to inherit those classes. So those are the three things I know, like where we can use the final keyword.
Okay. What are the access modifier in Java?
Access modifiers like public protected and public private protected, and one we consider as a default. So those are the access modifiers, and based on the access of our methods, variables, or classes, we can use those access modifier, so that based on the package, based on the classes, based on the some other package, we can provide the access of those particular data. For example, if I make any class or variables or any method as a public, then I am able to access those classes method outside of the other package also while doing a import. But if you create any variables or method as a private, then we can't access those particular variables and method in other classes. In the same classes, we can access it. Other than that, if you use the protected, so protected will like only hierarchy, like whatever the class we have and subclasses, those are able to access those variables, but they are not able to access outside the package. Those are the access modifier.
Okay. How does exception in Java and the catch blocks?
Sorry.
How does exception handling? How exception Java explain handling?
Okay. So exception handling, like try catch block, we can handle with that. So basically, how we can handle the exception is like in Java, there is a way like they have given already the package like exception package and exception classes also. Through that, we can utilize our exception handling. They have given like throwable exception, runtime exception, compile time exception, IO exception. So with the help of those exception classes, otherwise, if you want to create your own classes, we can create it. And after that, whenever we see like some of the particular code or particular method calling have some issue, have some, might be they will throw some exception, might be the data will be wrong, so have something issue will happen. So those code we can put inside the try block, and corresponding we can write one catch block, and in the catch block we can display one log, or maybe the we can throw the exception based on our situations or codes and the requirement, and we can throw the exceptions or we can handle the exceptions. So like that we can use the try and catch. Finally, like generally when we are talking with something like files or database, or maybe some operations we are doing like transactions, and in that time like we have to close something like JDBC connection or file connections, which is like a streams. So in that time we are using one finally block. So inside the finally block we are forcing to close all those stream connections, so that what will happen is like those connection will be closed properly, and like there is no break in between and there is no data interruptions will happen. So because of that, and one more things like finally block will always execute, even exception is happen in the try block or catch block, even we have handle or not handle, but finally block will be executed. So because of that we can say like try catch and finally we can almost handle all those exceptions. Yeah.
What is the purpose of super keyword in Java?
Basically, super keyword we are using to access some parent class properties. Like we are in the child class, or we want to access some property like methods. Like in the parent class also and child class also having a same method, same variable. Then what we can do is, if you want to access the parent class variables or method, we can use the super keyword. So super dot method name, super dot variable name, through that we can access the parent class or super class data or members. And in the same class, if you want to access, we can write the this dot or this dot method name, whatever. So those are the use.
Okay. You know Spring Boot?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the purpose of REST control and annotation in Spring Boot?
REST controller is whenever we want to create some REST API or RESTful API, so we can go with the REST controllers. So while creating any APIs, we are annotating our class as a REST controllers, and the REST controller is equivalent to the controllers plus response body. So controller will make our classes as a globally access, and response body will make sure like we can return the proper format of response like XML or JSON, whatever.
Okay. How does dependency injection work in Spring Boot?
Dependency injections, like if one class is dependent on some other classes, so that is called a dependency injection. So we have some setter injection, constructor injections, lookup injections. So for example, one class is until it will not finish, if other class object will not created, so one class is dependent on another classes, so like that will happen, then we can say like this is the dependency injections. It means one class is depend on another classes. Yeah.
Okay. What is the role of auto ride annotation in Spring Boot?
Auto word annotation is basically we are using while creating object. So for example, in the IOC containers, we have a sum of the object, but we want those object. So we are not using the new keyword. We are directly annotating those class variable as a at the rate auto word. So it will create a object and it will give the object for us. So while creating object, we are using it.
Okay. Explain the difference between Spring MVC and Spring Boot.
A Spring MVC is like we have a Spring Boot MVC also, but a Spring MVC is like it's working like a Spring only. So we have to do all those configurations, and a Spring MVC in that we have some flexibility, like we can write a model view controller. So model classes we can write, view means JSP HTML classes we can write, and model view controller means we can write some controller classes or some entity classes. So those we can consider it and we can write a class for that. So those are the MVC patterns, and a Spring Boot is it's a different framework we can say. So in the Spring Boot also, we have a very easy to make our project development. It will give all those configuration as a auto configurables, and we can easily develop a project with the help of the Spring Boot. And it's a ready for the productions very easily, and we can utilize the benefit of the Spring Boot. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. What is the signification of REST mapping annotation in a Spring Boot?
Risk mapping, request mapping.
REST, request.
Request mapping is if you have some controllers, and inside the controllers we have to map some of the particular URL. So, for example, we have a HTTP colon double slash localhost, and after that we have to give something like admin. Then after whatever the users we have, so admin slash users. So like that URLs we have to create or path in our controllers. Then we can go with the request mapping, and inside the request mapping we can give double quote slash, and we can use as a class label also, and we can use it no, method label is not required request mapping, but we can use the, in the old version we are using the request mapping for the method label also, and inside this we can specify the get, port, post, whatever. But nowadays we have a already method like get method, put method, post method, so we don't want to specify anything. And nowadays we are using the request mapping at the like class level in the controller.
Describe the concept of Spring Boot starters.
So a Spring Boot starter is very important concept, and what it will do is, like, if you add any dependency of the starter, so corresponding whatever the dependency is required for that project, it will collect automatically. You no need to do extra effort and put all those dependency which is required for to support those. So those are the called a starter, and a starter will help to run our project and configure our project very fastly. And basically it will provide and collect all those descriptive what we call descriptive dependency or related dependency. It will collect and it will put inside the pom.xml jar. That is called a starter.
Okay. How does Spring Boot support microservices architecture?
A Spring Boot. So a Spring Boot, a Spring Boot is a newly framework, and after that we have come up with the microservice architecture. So a Spring Boot having a lots of the features like auto configurables, automatic. They will give the servers. There is no need to do anything. It will make your project as a production ready easily. So once you create the project, you don't want to do anything. Just you have to configure and build your project for the developer effort, and it will be the productions ready code. So, and in the microservices architectures, we are breaking all those modules in the different parts. So for that, while creating a project, it's a very easy to go with the Spring Boot, and quickly we can create a multiple project, because in the microservice architecture having a lots of the project. So in the one project, we are dividing like multiple services, like 20, 30, 40 services we can create for the one project. And while maintaining, while developing all those project, if you go with the Spring, it's a lots of the configurations, lots of the things we have to do, lots of the servers we have to configure. But here, if you go with the Spring Boot, there is no configurations. We can just develop the project and it will become a production ready. Yeah, that's all.
What is the role of transactional annotation?
Sorry.
What is the role of transactional annotation in Spring Boot?
Transaction annotations. Yeah, so transactions annotation basically while interacting with the database, and we know some of the crucial data, like we are storing some payment data, we are storing some data which is very crucial and very sensitive data while doing a payment, while doing a transactions. So those data we are we are going with the like we are annotating one transaction annotations. So through that, like if the insertion will happen successfully, then it will not roll back and it will commit it. But if the any default, any exception will happen in that particular methods or while inserting a database, then it will do the rollback for that, and those record will not insert inside the database. So that is the benefits of the transactions annotations we have. Hello.
Explain the purpose of a Spring Boot actuator.
A Spring Boot actuator is like some extra things we have to add inside our application. So basically, we have a one dependency called a Spring Boot actuator. So if you add those jar inside the pom.xml, they will give some default endpoints like info, health, and trace. So those types of endpoints actuator will give, and through that we can know like what is the status and like how many requests will come, how many requests are coming and handling, how people are doing and operations in our website. All those details we can collect with the help of the actuator info. And actuator will help us to analyze our project, and it will also check like what is the health and the status of our project, it's up or down. Those things it will check by the actuator. It will give one dashboard also. So through the dashboards also we can see all those details, and everything we can analyze it.
Okay. Okay, I am done from this. Do you have a question?
No, I don't have. Okay, thank you.